Hello and welcome into another episode of Rolling with My Special Friends. We've got another special guest with us today. We got Miss Alex from UAB. She is an OT, specifically one of my OTs when I had to go through UAB and deal with some injury things that I dealt with. And I knew from the day I met her and then from following her career along as she's gone along and all these other people she's helped out along the way that we just had to have her on the show and be able to explain what people out there like her are doing, what drives them to be out there and go help others, and then maybe hear some of the stories she's had along the way to be able to tell us, what she deals with on a daily basis. So, Miss Alex, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
Oh, doing just fine. Now, we love on our podcast just to jump right into these things with both feet and get people excited about Alex. So tell us exactly, I know I touched on OT, but tell people what OT is.
OT, there's so many different areas of OT. You can do inpatient rehab like I'm in. You can do acute care, skilled nursing facilities, home health, pediatrics. But basically, we try to help people do things that they love, or that they want to do in their life. So getting dressed, feeding themselves, just even simple things that people take for granted, bathing themselves, toileting, anything like that. We're trying to help you to either adapt and figure out how you can do that or help you to get stronger to be able to do that.
Gotcha. Now, so in that, if we broke down some of those categories, when you're trying to help somebody, it almost sounds like you're trying to help them get back to a good quality of life. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Okay. And in that, are there resources? What do you feel like we got people out there listening that are looking for ways, if they're not specifically, say they've already passed the point of their hospital where they met up with you or met up with another OT in their hospital at their home or their state somewhere, what are resources at home that they could go out and look for some of the things you offer, like exercises, nutrition? What are some of the areas they can go look in?
Well, so normally when people leave us, we'll send them home with a home exercise program. And I feel like a lot of therapists, you want to everybody's not the same. So if you might have one exercise program, somebody else might have another. So you really want to try to get those resources from somebody that is involved in your healthcare. But there's some great websites. There's the UAB Spinal Cord Injury Model System website. There's the American Stroke Association, the Brain Injury Association of America, or facingdisability.com. But we also use a lot of resources. Like I've looked up a lot of exercises just to help my patients. I've seen great things on Instagram from other patients that are doing exercises. Like I had one patient, he loved doing CrossFit. And so there is actually adaptive CrossFit on Instagram that I found. So really anywhere online, you can find so many resources.
Okay. Now, in that same process, when they're out there looking for these different things, is any of those things cost, or pretty much most of this is open to where anybody can access this?
Yeah, anybody can access it. All the websites that I named, free, Instagram free, YouTube free. So everything is free.
Okay. Now, and I also know in the OT world that you're in, there are other T's out there. Isn't there a PT and what else is involved when somebody goes through a process like that?
Yes, we work with physical therapists, speech therapists. You've got even music therapists will come to our patients' rooms. Trying to think. And then, you've got your physicians and residents and nurses that we all work with too. So okay. There's a whole group of people.
So when somebody takes in an injury, then they got a lot of people waiting on them to help them get back to a good quality of life, correct?
Right.
Okay. Now in with you, if we want to really break this down and get into your world just a little bit, what in the world what inspired you, I would like to say, how to want to be an OT?
That's a great question because I did not know about occupational therapy until I was almost finished with college. I knew I wanted to do something with healthcare. My dad's a physician, my cousin's a physician, my aunt's a nurse. So we have a lot of healthcare, but I just didn't know what I wanted to really do with healthcare. And my mom's friend said, she worked in the school system, and she said, you should really go shadow the OT that works with me. I think you would like it. And I did. And I thought what she was doing was amazing. So initially I went in and I thought, I want to do pediatrics. I want to work with kids only. And I think a lot of OTs going into school, at least my class, they said the same thing. But once I did a clinical at Spain Rehab, I was like, this is it for me. You get to see so much. Um, you just get to connect with people like adults and hear their story. So I just fell in love with inpatient rehab.
Wow. So the whole family is in healthcare. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now, so tell us in that same thing that we're trying to figure out about you, OT and everything, you touched on it just a little bit of how many different kinds of people that you see on a daily basis and all those different stories that are out there. Where, that thing is also as well, we've talked to other people that have been nurses, and over time you mentally get so many, I don't know how the best way to say it. You get so many feelings toward people and you get involved in their life and their story. And it kind of a lot of times it's hard on you to have so many different things going on. Where do you get the drive week to week that keeps you excited? Is it just in your blood that every day you wake up and you can't wait to help the next person?
Well, I think everybody has their days where they don't want to go to work, right? But I feel like, you have to go there and you have to give people your best because they're relying on you to help them get better. This is their life. So, but there's days I would say that I'm out of ideas, or I just feel like I've been doing the same thing with someone. So I always reach out with my other therapists and I'm like, hey, what are some good ideas for this patient? Because you always want to bring some new ideas to the table for your patients. You want to give them the best quality of care. So,
right. Well, so now in saying that same thing, when you reach out, have you ever reached out to some of your patients as well? Do they give you ideas from one person to the next?
yes, I would say the best resources, and I tell patients this all the time. I'm like, I know I can tell you this all day, but I'm not in your exact situation. So somebody else that you can learn from in your exact same situation, we'll get them on video calls and to talk together. We've had like models that come up and talk to my patients. I had one person show my patient how to do a car transfer from the wheelchair to his truck. And it was just good to see like somebody that can show you all of that, because I can practice and show you all the time, but it's not going to be the same,
Right. Well, and that's true. I mean, we can all talk about and read about being a car mechanic, but until we've actually held onto that motor and turned the wrench, we don't know anything about what he's talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah. So now leading us into that, I want to say or be able to hear about, because I know you know it more than anybody, is some of the cool stories that you've met out there. I know because of medical laws, we can't bring up names, and we don't want to. We don't want to embarrass anybody or give too much fame on either side. But tell me, let's touch on several stories that has just come to mind with you of all the years that you've worked with, of somebody that's just been really inspiring.
There's a lot. So I keep in touch with a lot of people, of course. I've got a lot of friends that I'm close to. But I would have to say there's two stories that stick out. So my first patient, she actually had a brain tumor and she was on vacation in Colorado, had a really bad headache, didn't know she had a brain tumor, went to the hospital. They did emergency surgery. They flew her back to her home here, and they basically put her on hospice, and they were just like, there's not much else we can do for you. So for a year she was on hospice. And then finally they were like, okay, she's not getting worse. She's actually doing okay, getting better. So after a year of just being at home and in the bed, she came to us. She had really bad contractures. So things weren't moving as well as they were supposed to. It was really hard. And I have seen her transform from how she was when she first got there to now she is, and she's young. But she and her mom will still come by and visit. They go to therapy all the time. They go to Lakeshore Foundation together all the time, exercise all the time. Just really inspiring, really cool story.
Wow. Now, so to touch on that story just a little bit, when you say she had a brain tumor, they never figured out why, like what would cause it?
No, it just was there.
Wow. Now, that's pretty special that she's able to come through all that stuff. Now, and when you say her story, when you were able to help inside of that story, when you say maybe forget the word contractures, what are you discussing so everybody out there knows?
So sometimes I guess when you get stiff and your body's not able to move, so her feet were kind of like in a flex position. So anytime we stood her up, she was kind of on her tiptoes. So we had to do serial casting. So we had to cast her feet back into place. Her hands were kind of contracted like this. So just kind of stuck in that way. So we really had to work on a lot of things that had, evolved over the year to help her to be able to function better.
Right. Now, for people out there listening, do you feel like when that has happened, because I know there's a lot of people that stay in chairs or even in a hospital bed for a long time and things start to contract like you're talking about. Are those correctable things?
Sometimes yes, and sometimes no. I think it just depends on, how bad it is.
Right. And what are the influences of that? Like your tendons and things? Is that what's causing that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Just muscle tightness. And it's kind of just saying stiff and not opening like it's supposed to, or moving like it's supposed to.
I got you.
Your tendons are getting tight.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. Now tell us about your second story you have there.
Okay. So this is my other favorite friend. They're not my patient anymore. They're my friends. And he actually came, I don't know if you knew this, but I was diagnosed with transverse myelitis. I guess it was about 4 years ago, and he came to Spain. So transverse myelitis is like a demyelination of your spinal cord. Some people can't move after they have it. Mine was more of a sensory, very burning, tingling, numbness from my elbow to my fingers and from my knees down. So he came to Spain and he had transverse myelitis too, but he was not able to move from his stomach down. And this was the second time this actually happened. It happened to him when he was 19. And then it happened again. He's, I guess, 28 now. But I got really close to him because we kind of bonded over having the same diagnosis, and just being able to talk about how scary it is and, the future and things like that. But he left us. He worked so hard. And he left us. He was barely able to stand. He was using all of his body weight to help him stand from his wheelchair. And just over time, I've seen him built he got a standing frame at home. He had parallel bars at home, and he is now walking with a rollator. Just for long distances, he can walk in the house by himself, but it is taking a lot of hard work. But they just showed that his hard work has paid off.
Wow. Now to put people in those same shoes, how, I would say cool, but how interesting is it that for you to come across something that you dealt with in your life and then one of your patients, is inspiration to you to be able to, you guys kind of have common ground and become great friends. I mean, that's a pretty cool story.
Yeah. I feel like, I wouldn't wish it upon anybody because it took a long time to get a diagnosis. So like 3 or 4 months, they thought it could be MS and things like that. But I think that it really helped me kind of connect to people in the way of like, I kind of understand what you're going through with being scared and getting, something happening and you not really knowing what's going on. So I feel like it's been a blessing in a way because it just helps me to kind of understand that part of it.
So in a way, it puts you even closer to your patients than you've ever been.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So now tell me, a lot of people out there listening, I know we said you work at UAB. Tell us about the facilities over there. I've been there myself, as most people know, and I think it's a first-class facility, especially there in Spain Rehab. Can you tell us about Spain?
Yes, Spain Rehab is awesome. We provide 3 hours of therapy to patients a day. So it's usually an hour and a half of OT, an hour and a half of PT. And then if they need speech, they'll also get speech 5 days a week. And then Saturdays we do therapy too, but it's a little bit less. But we're work with anybody, brain injuries, spinal cord injuries, strokes, just general debility, anything you name. We've probably seen it and have some crazy stories. But it's an awesome facility. We are actually getting a new building. They're building one behind our current building, and it's supposed to be open in I guess 3 years, 2 years, 3 years. So we're excited for that because our facility is a little old, but we're excited about all the new resources that we're about to get. Well,
and that would be really cool to kind of have an upgrade and be able to get some new weight room equipment and other things in there. Because I know I want to call that stuff outdated, but it's definitely had some years put on it.
Yes. Yeah, you're right.
as being nice about it. So now in the Spain Rehab world, if there's somebody out there, we got families all over the country that listen to us and hear people's special stories. How would they go about, you recommending them getting in touch with Spain?
I'm going to have to give you her email, but we have an admissions team that looks over who comes into Spain rehab. So normally we get a lot of our patients from UAB because they can just come directly over, but we do have some outside admits too, that like that the girl I told you about with the brain injury, she came from home. There's people that come from other facilities, but there's an admissions team that you have to kind of get a hold of and give them all the criteria and everything.
So now if there's a family out there listening and God forbid they have to go through a traumatic injury or a diagnosis of something, you recommend them asking to be sent to UAB so that UAB can send them to you?
If they feel like they need it and our admissions team can send you, then yes, I think inpatient rehab is awesome because it gives you that, we see people anywhere from a week to a month and a half, it just depending on your diagnosis, but you're really going to get the most intensive therapy while you're in inpatient rehab.
Right. Yeah. And I can speak from experience because I've been there and seen it. I've also been to some other facilities with Lake Shore and also Shepherd over in Atlanta. And I can say that UAB in Spain ranks right up there of the best in the country. So if somebody's out there listening and they want a place to go to get the top notch, quality rehab and therapy out there, just like Mr. Gosh, I can't even think of that man's name over there now that I met. I'll think of it in a minute. Anyway, the program itself, Spain is the best place to be to me because it offers everything. Like you said, you got an opportunity to get an OT, a PT all in the same building. Then they've got dietitians that I've met over there. You've got other people that'll kind of set that quality of life for you, that'll just set you on the path to amazing things. Just like the story that Alex is telling, that some of these people that have just overcome, I think they obviously had to have a lot of it on their own in their attitude and their effort to want to get out there and do it, but then also to have somebody to hold their hand along the way, that I call it. And you guys with the OTs and the PTs makes all the difference in the world, because I can be the best athlete in the world, but if I don't have a good coach, then I don't win the game.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, we want to help you even after you leave. Like I keep in touch with, like I told you, so many people, and I'll give them my number, email. Let me know if you need anything. I like to kind of follow their journey along the way. And we try to make sure that they're getting the best care after us too, whether that be home health or outpatient therapy. So
yeah, that's yet again another thing to me that makes it real special, that I've seen other people that have come through Spain that have those connections with their therapist after the fact, because a lot of times you go home and that therapy's over, but you still want somebody to talk to and to connect with, to be able to say, am I doing this exercise right? Or am I doing these things right? And for that therapist to keep doing what I call their job after their job, is where they're just kind of become a friend with somebody. That's what separates Spain from the rest of them to me. I think it's pretty cool. Not just one person, but everybody works up there seems to be on the same page.
Yeah, I think agree. A lot of people keep in touch.
So now tell us listening, this is one of the things we love to do on our podcast, is tell a funnier side of the person that we're talking to. So tell us something that may be some stories that happened at rehab, might not be at rehab, but tell us something funny about Alex.
Okay, I do have a good story, I guess. So the patient that I told you about with the brain injury, she was kind of a prankster. So her sisters bought this. I hope I don't make anybody grossed out, but her sisters bought this fake poop at Walmart, and they put it under her while she was in the bed at Spain. And so they got her mom, and then they decided to do it to me. And I thought it was hilarious. I mean, because there are a lot of accidents that happen along the way in therapy. And so then we started to do it to my PT partner. Then we started to put the fake poop out in the gym and just scare everybody. And then so then later, she actually brought it to me during her outpatient appointment. She brought it to me in a bag, like a gift bag. So I still have it 4 years later. But she so after that, I was telling another patient, I said, I do this prank all the time to some of my patients. And he came later, outpatient, to visit, and he brought me this box, and he was like, I got you something. And it was like a gag gift of like all these fake poops, fake roaches, a snake, all the pranks. So I'm kind of like the prankster now. And people have stolen all these fake roaches around Spain, and they've been hiding them. And so anytime anybody finds one, I always get the blame. And I'm like, people steal these all the time. So, yeah. And then we've gotten them out recently again for like April Fool's. So it's been I mean, I know it's been a while, but I forgot about them. And then, but my patients, I've given them some. They prank their family members, the poor people that deliver the food. They have been scared by the roaches on the trays. So that's one little, I guess I'm the kind of the prankster, but I know people are going through things, and I just also want it to be kind of fun and be a place where you can laugh and like also have a good time,
Oh yeah.
during
Oh.
therapy, because it can get boring and probably a little monotonous and I'm sure sad at times. So if my prank kit can help people laugh, then I'll do it. But I'm sure my coworkers get tired of it.
Well, like you said, it brings a quality of life that everybody needs to laugh a little bit to be able to enjoy life, every day.
Yeah.
All right. So tell us now that we've discussed all these different things about yourself, what does the future look like for you? Do you see yourself doing this forever?
I think as long as my body will hold up, I love I love inpatient rehab. I just love the connection to make with people. I have just really like inpatient rehab because you get to form a bond. You get to see somebody kind of right after a traumatic event. You're helping them home. I just think it's the best place I could be.
All right. Now, and to spin that the opposite direction, for all these people that are out there listening, these family members, even some of these future wannabes, how in the world do they become Alex? How do you become?
I don't know that they want to become me. I might not be the best influence, but I would say, I graduated with a degree in interior design. I started out in biology, and I thought, I think it was like my junior year, and I was like, this is really hard. I don't really know what I want to do with this. And my mom said, do something you love and enjoy. So I went interior design route. And then, my mom's friend told me about occupational therapy. So it's never too late. You just have to have all your prerequisites to get into OT school. It's a grad school program. I think there's some doctorates, there's still some master's programs out there. So, but yeah, you just kind of have to look at the school and see all their prerequisites, and then make sure you get into some good clinicals where you really learn. I think that's where I learned the most was, class is one thing, learning things, but really being hands-on is where you learn the most. And you can also ask your, any OTs that you want, that that if you can shadow them and kind of watch and just see what it's all about.
So now what is to put us in perspective, what are the years are we looking at? Is that a 2 to 3 year thing, a 1 year thing?
It's 4 years for undergraduate, and then I think 2.5 for grad school.
Okay. And now, is it a good thing for somebody that's really thinking about it? I'm sure in every single town out there, there's a local therapy place there in town. Is it a good thing for somebody to maybe go volunteer or just go watch and see what those people do to see if that's really what they want to be?
Definitely. Yeah, I would definitely recommend that. And, you may want to go to a couple places because, home health is not the same as outpatient, is not the same as inpatient. So you might really love one area of it. You might not like another area.
So there are different pieces of the puzzle that they may not like, and they may be able to focus in one area is what you're saying.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, I got you. All right. So now when we get toward the end of these podcasts and love hearing people's stories, one of the things is our signature series question we like to bring up all the time is, if tomorrow the good Lord called Alex home and everything was over with, and you've spent all this time at UAB inspiring all these great people, and everybody loves talking about Alex because I've heard stories everywhere about her. Tell me, what would you hope that people read if we were able to write a book about the story of your life? What would you hope people read?
Oh goodness, that's hard. I would hope that they would say I was faithful, good person, funny and fun. I like, love to have fun. I guess just a good friend, helpful, loyal, and most of all, loving.
Well, I don't think that it's been better said. I've heard a lot of stories of books there, but that one's pretty well sums you up, because I have told people that I know you personally a little bit and have been around you for a while, and you're definitely the funny, fun-loving, caring kind of person. So I think that tells your story exactly. So if somebody wants to be able to reach out, you said you're out there, social media, is there a place that if somebody wanted to ask an OT question, is there somewhere they could reach?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. There's a lot of OT sites that you can follow. I'm sure there's OTs on Instagram. I'm not sure about direct questions though. I would say shoot an OT. There's a lot of OT sites on Instagram, and I would say, shoot them a question.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. All right. Well, we want to thank you for coming on to today's episode, and really enjoyed having you on. So thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You're
not going to tell them my nickname that you gave me?
No, you tell them that. How about that?
Oh, okay. So I will tell you, he was a hard patient at first.
Uh-oh.
He was in a lot of pain. So he kind of dictated therapy at the beginning. But I'm always kind of like I feel like it's good to have a PT partner that is kind of like cracks the whip. And I feel like I'm usually the one that's, kind of a little bit more babying. You got to have the best of both worlds. Well, he nicknamed me the pain train. And I don't know how I got that nickname, but I was kind of proud of it because it means I was cracking the whip for once.
There you go. Yeah, that name actually came about because it was actually the way I thought about it. When you're in a bunch of pain, there's somebody that's got to kind of push you to get you out of that. And I felt like that you were the caboose kind of pushing that thing to get over the pain that was going on.
Well, thank you. Yeah, he brought us a t-shirt too. Yep. Me and my PT partner, Becca.
Yep. Yeah, you guys are the prime example of what I'm talking about at Spain, of how the therapists over there are fun loving and caring, and they actually, touch base with you after the fact and make sure that everything's going good, long term.
Yep. We definitely have to check on you. You're one of the most memorable.
Oh my goodness. I don't know about that. But you guys do a great job for what y'all are doing. So I wanted to thank you for coming on and telling the story, because there's a lot of people out there that, like yourself, that's in that building that deserve that recognition, because you guys as a staff do a great job every day.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Well, all right, everybody out there listening, go out there and like and subscribe our YouTube channel. Check us out on Spotify, Podbean, Amazon Music, all your great podcast places, and be listening out for our next episode. Thank you again.